So oftentimes people come up with, you drive down the road and you see 10x apartments, 10x living. You see books on how to 10x your life, 10x this, 10x that. Do you fall under that philosophy?
No, I don't. I don't. On one hand, yes, absolutely, but on most other hands, absolutely not. And here's why. Is I know it's you see it, the 10x 10x 10x. And I think, well, okay. Because you go, well, what is that? What is it exactly? What is it? And they go, man, you got to think 10 times bigger, man, because the only way you're going to ever get big is to think big. Okay, Tiger. Okay, that's somewhat true, but what most people end up doing then is having a vision board with Ferraris and all the stuff that they think that they should want. It's like this is what the world tells you that you should want. And so you put all these things on it. It's like a little kid when their Christmas list and they go, "Oh, what do you want for Christmas, Johnny?" And you go, "Oh my God, I want all the things that are advertised, all the things that all the other little kids are wanting, because that's what we talk about, that's what we see, right? That's what's being pushed on." So we don't change over time. We do the same thing. And then like people talk about vision boards and I like vision boards and I don't like vision boards because they turn into those things. Like I had a vision board one time and I had all these things on it. And like, I love to travel. I love Southern Europe. I love Italy and I love the Mediterranean countries and Adriatic countries and Aegean down in Greece. I love that area. I love to go there. And I thought, man, having a house there would be really cool. That's what I want. And so I put that on my vision board. I put a Porsche on there. I put, a variety of things on there. And and I had that on my wall. And you're supposed to look at that and whatever the magical formula is with vision boards. And one time, and I have a couch, a sofa, whatever you call them, in my office. And I was pulling that out one time to rearrange my office. I like to do that every once in a while, just get a change of scenery. And I moved this couch, and I went, "Oh, there's my vision board." It had dust all over it. And I pulled it up and I looked at it and I thought, well, this is interesting because some of these things I have and some of these things I don't have. Like one of the things that was on there was that house on the Mediterranean. And I thought, why don't I have the house on the Mediterranean? I love going there. Why don't I have one? And I thought, well, I don't know. Just for fun, I took it off my vision board because it had a piece of tape on it. I pulled it off and I pulled some of the the that stuff that was stuck to off. I pulled it off and it felt like a relief. And I thought, well, that's strange. Why would I ever feel relief about pulling something that I dearly want off my vision board? And I thought, well, huh. And so I put it back on and I thought, and it was interesting because I looked at the things on there that I had done, and those are really deeply meaningful to me, really meaningful. And I thought, well, I pulled the vision or the Mediterranean home off, and again, it felt like a relief. It's like I thought, wow, my instinct is telling me I really don't want one of those, and I thought, okay, well, what is it about these things on my vision board that I really, you know, the essence, like if you were to break down the ingredients of why you want a Porsche or why you want your kids to go to a different school or why you want a place on the Mediterranean. I go, okay, well, the kids, like, okay, I want them to be at some place that feels a little more safe. I'd rather them be their natural network are different sort of people than they meet at a different school. I'd like them to feel good. All these things. I want them to be in a safe place. I want them to get good education. There's some things that are cool and all these things. So those essence of those things, the feeling that you get from those, like, okay, I feel really good about that. The Porsche, and it's like, okay, well, it's really, I like to escape and leave the world behind. So it goes it couldn't go very fast and we can leave those things behind. Okay, I get that. And before I ever got a Porsche, I got an Audi TT and a fast one, and it had all those too. And then I got the Porsche, and the Porsche was really cool and significant, and it was a nice car in the parking lot and all those kind of things. But it didn't give me, so it gave me a little more of those sort of feelings. But the essence of it was it didn't go much faster than the Audi TT and didn't handle, it handled a little bit. So, but the essence, I'm glad I got the Audi because I had years of the essence, the feeling of it. And you get to the port or the house on the Mediterranean and you go, well, what is it about that? Well, I love water and, and having a place at the beach would be really cool. And I thought, well, why don't okay, if those are the things, but if I got something on the Mediterranean and trying to work with, trying just try to work with anybody to get anything fixed or built or repaired in this country, in your own home, let alone at the beach in this country, far away from home, and let alone something in Italy. I don't speak Italian. I speak about these many words of French, and I don't speak Spanish. So I'm thinking, oh my God, that no wonder I don't really want that, because I don't really want that. And also I can go to 100 different places, a lot of different places on the Mediterranean and rent a home. And then I can move on
Mhm.
down the road and rent a different home. And I thought, man, that seems a lot more free, to me than having some place that I always feel obligated to go in France or Italy or that kind of thing. And but I do like spending a lot of time at the beach. So I figured out how to buy a place at the beach in this country, and that's actually where I am right now. I always wanted to have and this was one that I really found out that I really wanted in life, was like, how can I work where there's a water view? I love seeing water. So out the back door, after I walked by, through it's a 3-bedroom townhouse on the beach. This bedroom is my office. And so I can go out and I can go fishing or paddle boarding or go for a swim or walk for miles on the beach. And it's like, I when I walk in here, it's like, oh my God, I'm just so thankful to be, I mean, literally, how many people get to go to their workplace and be incredibly thankful for where it is. And you go, all right, I better hop to it, man. I better demonstrate my gratitude. So the question though was 10x. And so, but I think to get 10x, this is what's different about what I just described in the last few minutes, and the words X. What does that even mean? And it never ends up being X. You typically don't get X. You get what means most to you if you work for what means most to you. And maybe that's not 10, maybe it's 10 times more time away from, you need to take a moment and understand what it is that you want to build, the life experience that you want. It's not, 10x, 10, the number is so arbitrary. It means absolutely nothing, because maybe, it's just so arbitrary and empty. But when you figure out what's meaningful to you, and like, why is it meaningful to you? What the essence is in that? What's the feeling that you want to have? What's more time, like true freedom, spending more time in things that lift your heart, make you feel more alive and awake and alert and excited and want to have more of that. That versus X, X what? 10 times more of the shit that you have now? 10 times more of the lack of time you have now? It means absolutely, to me, it means
Mhm.
nothing. And I think when you start looking at it, it still means nothing.
Mhm.
But when you get it figured out, when you go, okay, what's meaningful to me? And it's not this 10x of something out there that all the cool kids have on their vision board. It's not out there. It's in here. It's inside me and it's
Mhm.
inside you. And when we start understanding what that is and really unlocking that, I call that your potential. What's possible when you start unlocking that. The more of that you unlock, the more true freedom you get, and the better you feel, and the more excited you are about being alive and what's next, as opposed to some arbitrary next, whatever that might mean. Does that make sense?
So yeah, so is the process for distilling down that vision board, or that that idea of where your life should go? Is it really just that you're testing out, you're putting things on there, you're seeing, does that really resonate, and then taking it off and going through that process until you kind of figure out what's working? Or how do you actually go about designing
Yeah.
a blueprint for your life, like you talk about for true
Well,
freedom?
life, there's this thing, the further ahead you can see, the more successful you'll be. So some people, and we can all see, I don't see things like you see things. You see things in your unique way. I see things we all see things in a different sort of way. So what you're imagining in the future right now is not what I see. I see what I see. And so sometimes, I look at this, and like, the furthest I can see is the end of my life. And I think at the end of my life, as I'm handing in my life resume, what do I want on there? What am I glad I did? And are there things on there that I'm really not getting done that I wish I would? And so I think there's two ways to look at this. And this is the most uncommon way, I think, is you get to the end and you go, what am I glad I did? and what do I wish I would have done? And so that takes all the Ferraris off your vision board. It does for me anyway,
Hmm.
because there are other things that are a lot more meaningful, and I can feel it here,
Hmm.
right? And Ferraris, I feel more up here.
Hmm.
And so, but when I go, what am I glad I did when I hand in that life resume? When I meet, one of the things I ask myself too is, can I meet my maker's eye when I hand this in, knowing that did I did the best that I could with what I was given. With what I was given, with the talent that I had, the potential that I had, did I spend my time unlocking it? Because that's what I think we're here to do, is to unlock what we're given, not just polish it, not just go, oh, I'm a hell of a basketball player. That's good. And then later, look back and it's glory days, right? Man, in high school, I
Hmm.
was a really good basketball player. I almost made college, or whatever. I was a professional, whatever. Okay, that's great. But what'd you do with that? Because most professional basketball players are really good naturally, and you see a lot of people are really good naturally at, let's say, like in the Freedom Challenge. Well, you work with people who are selling stuff, and some people are just naturally good at selling stuff, and almost never do those people go beyond ever getting naturally good at selling stuff, and eventually the world around them changes enough that they become a has-been, and and you see this, and
Hmm.
like Death of a Salesman and all those types of stories. They didn't unlock what they had and ascend. They just stayed where they were. So what was the question? What is so two
What's the
vision
process
boards, two ways.
for yeah,
Yeah. So
distilling down and creating your freedom blueprint?
yeah. So right. So I don't have a vision board. I have, and I guess a blueprint's like it, but some things, like when you said vision board for life, I go, well,
Hmm.
some people can't imagine life, but they can imagine. They go, all right, let's think shorter term, because sometimes people go, well, I don't know what that means. I'll have to figure that out someday, and they never
Hmm.
do. So I am more of an advocate of, let's build what we can see. You go, man, I would really love, this. Okay, let's build that. Don't worry about what comes after it, because in the process of building whatever it is that we blueprint out, more things are going to occur to you,
Hmm.
and we're going to open your true potential. You're going to have more true freedom, and more thoughts are going to occur to you that you're not thinking today, and you're going to see other things that you never imagined. You're going to have connections. I remember before being 30, I I, uh, I was part of this organization where they go, man, you got to have like 10x goals, right? And I go, man, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to be able to retire. Being able to retire means that I'm going to have $5 million, and I signed it. And that was supposed to mean something, and it
Hmm.
doesn't, because 5 million was arbitrary, as was 30. And
Hmm.
there was nothing about life in there. It was just money and retiring, and retiring. Why, if you're loving what you're doing and you're becoming better and you're opening more of what's possible, who you are, and becoming who you're meant to be, you want to
Hmm.
retire from that? That just seems wrong. So I get wanting to retire from the crap, and most people do. They can't wait to retire, or they die as soon as they retire, or right before they're really going to have fun in life, they die. The top regret of the dying is they spent too much time at the office. Well, no, you failed to make the choice of what you wanted to do with life, and start unlocking that and becoming who you're meant to be. That was your fault. That's your fault. It's not the world's fault. It's not your work's fault. It's your
Hmm.
fault. And maybe a lot of people just don't know enough to, know enough, be encouraged enough, or look around enough to find ways that they can. And that's,
Hmm.
one of the reasons. That's a big reason that the True Freedom platform exists. It gives you permission to look, and to test and experiment, and unlock that true potential. You don't know what's in there. And I referenced, back before I was 30, and like, well, I'm gonna, $5 million, I'm gonna retire. It just was ludicrous. That idea to me today is crazy. And that the stuff that I absolutely did not know then, and wasn't able to see, and didn't experience, and hadn't tested yet. I had no, I look back and go, man, I had so little experience, and I saw about this much of what the world has become. I didn't
Hmm.
know to think the thoughts. Like, some people go, well, how do you know to do this stuff? I didn't fall out of the womb knowing this stuff, right? No, that's not how it went. And I don't think that I'm a master of it. I just think, all right, this is my journey, and I've been working on it for a long time. And more and more and more things open up as you across time. And I look forward to the things that I don't know. I look forward to seeing the things that I don't know and looking back and like today and going, man, you know, so many things that I know that back when Ian and I were doing this episode that I didn't
Hmm.
understand yet. Uh, that you just don't know. You just don't know what's out there. But when you walk with wonder, when you start your day getting on track and you're going, all right, what's one little thing that I wanna get done today? And when you get that done, you go, oh, and it's almost like things click, and you can never see you don't see the same anymore. It's like, you ever have something click?
Hmm. Oh
Like
yeah.
suddenly you go, and you can't unsee that. And now when you look forward, you go, okay, I know that thing that I've
Hmm.
never go back to. You can't unsee it. You can't undo that thing that you just learned. And so now you've ascended a little bit, and you see things. You see a lot of things, or you see some things differently, and you
Hmm.
can't unsee what you just. So anyway, so this is in life. If we can continue to unlock those things, imagine what's possible, and the people that you meet, and the connections you make, and the experiences you have, and the awareness that you get about things, and you just
Hmm.
become. You become, I think you're doing what we're here to do. The whole
Hmm.
meaning of life stuff. Why am I here? I don't know. Well, let's start figuring it out instead of wandering around being angry with a bunch of other people like, oh shit, it's not working out for me. Well, it's not working out because you're not working it out. You're not unlocking it. You're not
Hmm.
trying. You just hope, most people hope, they think that, well, someday it's going to
Yeah.
change, and it doesn't. And then they get angry and it's somebody else's fault. No, it's
Hmm.
your fault. But they haven't probably have never been they've been raised in an environment. They see other people and they hear other people that they go, life is a bitch, and then you die. And you see young kids who like graduate from college and they go out and get a job and they go, well, that isn't
Hmm.
quite what I thought it was. And it's like they're 25 years old and now they're already in a grut, grind in a rut. It's a grut. They are, you hear it, you see it,
Hmm.
and you hear kids, and it's like, oh my God, that more of them need to hear this stuff. Speaking of kids or younger people, like kids,
Yeah.
like in college, or when they go, oh, what do you want to do? Or let's go back to high school. I'll give you you want to hear my high school story? Because in
Yeah.
high school, when I was a senior, early in my senior year, they gave us all a test or an inventory. It wasn't a test, an inventory. And it was like, what are you interested in? What are you good at? Da 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 da
Hmm.
da. And then you meet with the guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor pulls your file out, and there's a wheel, the career wheel, and it's got all these different sections on it, right? Little pie pieces, and because I was excited to have my little interview with the guidance counselor because I don't know who I am. I don't. I'm going to
Hmm.
sit down. This guy's going to show me who I am and
Yeah.
what the path that I'm supposed to take. And we sit down and he goes, well, he grabs my file that says my name on it. He goes, oh, John, yeah, we've got 3 good careers here for you. And I'm like, sweet. And he said, well, the first one, it looks like you'd be a good accountant. And I thought, really? I wonder. Okay, what? Okay, accountant. I never pictured being an accountant. Okay, uh, and he said, well, the second one, you'd make a good mortician. I thought, okay, what's the third one? Yeah, and third one was forest ranger, and I thought, forest ranger is life for me. Where do I go? And that's where I went. I signed. Went to Bemidji State University, entered into their pre-forestry program because they only had a partial forestry program, and I'd have to go somewhere else to finish it off. But that's where I started, and I quickly realized, it's like, okay, but what they missed in all of this is the style of life that you want to have, the style of life but they don't know to ask. School systems don't know to. Because the teachers don't hate their job too. They just figure it's a world of hating your job, and
Hmm.
and the first thing you do when you get in is you start looking toward retirement because you do, right? And
Hmm.
educators certainly do. There's all these little rules about, and I come from a family of, my mom was a teacher, her sister was a teacher, her brother was a teacher. all the kids in that family, teachers, so you kind of have a little insight into this. And they just want to get out as soon as possible. Kids are unruly. They hate it. They don't really educate, all these things. They just can't wait to get out. And so we're missing something. I think we're missing something in education. Is like, well, what's the style of life you want? Because if they would have incorporated the style of life that I wanted, I go, okay. And maybe helping you understand that the way of being an accountant, they go, look, okay, the style of life you want, you're probably not going to be the a paper pushing tax return filing. You're going to have to find this little niche. And I'm making this up as I go, but there's got to be, just understand, John, if you're going to be an accountant, understand, John, if you're going to be a mortician, you're going to have to do this a little. You might want to have about 9 locations, and you have to be a lot of morticianing. And if you're going to be a forest ranger, it's never going to work out. But so because you don't make enough money to have, I'd have to go into having, okay, how can I grow trees or something like that? Because if you look at if I was talking about the money that, one, what draw it out, map it out, or draw it. I always draw it. Okay, what is it that I'm building here? And it's the top, like I always talk about it like the top page of the blueprint, because when you look at a blueprint, it's the finished product. All right. So let's say if my short term, I want my life to be this. Okay. If that's my life experience that I'm drawing out, how much does that cost? There's no way. I shouldn't say that because I don't like to say that global stuff. I don't know how I'd use forest rangering to have that. How am I going to have a place at the beach being a forest ranger? How am I going to have the time? I don't know. I'm going to get, a couple weeks off. I'm going to, I'm going to make $38,000. I'm just not, it's not going to work right. And so if I'm a mortician, I don't know, I go practice at the beach where a lot of people, in a retirement community where a lot of people die. I know it's not necessarily, but you have to figure it out. Like, how am I going to do that? And I better have a couple assistants, because I don't want to be doing this all the time, because I want to have the time. So you really have to then go, okay, if that's what I want to do, that becomes my job. My job is figuring out how to build that lifestyle, as opposed to, like, most people go, well, they'll draw it out, they put the price tag on, they'll keep doing whatever they're doing. You go, well, those aren't the steps that's not how to build this thing. So it's just a dream. It's just vision boards are not vision. It's more of a dream board. Yeah, I want to have a place on the Mediterranean and a Ferrari. Meanwhile, and all the time to spend time with my kids and travel with them and climb mountains and swim in oceans and sail seas and yeah, how are you going to do that? Doing doing the mainstream stuff. It does not work. So it's just a dream. It was fun. It was a fun little mental outing, but you wake up the next day and you're still in, where you were before. But if we start figuring this out every day, and that's where, like, when you say like 10x, 10x, there's no like, how do you do it? How do you do this? What are the little things that, like, what's one thing, like right now you go, man, I'd really love this. Okay. Then that's your 10x sort of idea, your dream or whatever. But let's do it. Let's not just dream about it. Let's actually do it. And so what's one small thing within reach, one small thing, like even the smallest piece, that's meaningful, right? It can't, like Einstein said, everything, things have to be as simple as possible without being too simple. It's not like take a breath. It's like, okay, it's like one small thing within reach that takes me in this direction that I can do, because these big, the lifestyle that you're building or a building, it's all built up of, how many, it's not like you nail it up all in one day. You pound a nail, you pound another nail, pound another nail. You can't pound 2 nails at once. You pound one at a time, and you don't build it all at once. Rome wasn't built in a day. Your house wasn't built in a day. The style of life that you want to build isn't built in a day. You can make decisions. This is direction I want to go in a moment, but then and that's good. It's good. We get our direction, and now let's start building it. And also, when you take these little steps, it gives you the opportunity to pivot. Because it's like if I wanted to build a bridge from here to an island, way out, or let's say use the Florida Keys. That's a really good example. The Florida Keys are a bunch of islands, that are not connected, but now they're connected by a bridge. Not all the islands are connected by a bridge, but some are. And imagine if your idea of where you wanted to go was Key West, and you go, well, I'm going to build a bridge all the way out there. Well,
Mhm.
that's a 100 miles, you know? So it's and you might run out of money, steam, focus, you know, you break a leg, you can't build anymore. You just get tired of it. So what you want to do is go, okay, what's my first island? It's my little blueprint. I want to go here. Let's build bridges to islands. An island that we can see, we can get to. Good. Let's get it done now. Okay, now I see how to do that. This is good. I never have to go any more further. I feel really good about where good, you did it. Or you go, all right, I can either go this way or that way now. And now that I have a little experience, you go, I want to go this way. This is the next
Mhm.
one I want to build. Good. And then the next one, the next one, the next one. And so it's just sort of a series of bridges to islands. And the islands are these blueprints. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. How do you like when you come to one of those decision points? You're faced with you're exploring, you're building these bridges to these different islands, and you hit a point and you look at and there's a couple of potential islands to go. Do you have how do you approach making those types of decisions?
I always go, decisions. A lot of people get snagged up on decisions, like the
Mhm.
things right in front of them. Your brain gets really occupied with things right in front of you. And it's sometimes hard to make a decision. You go, and if you go this way, you should have gone that way. And if I go this way, and you go nowhere. And
Mhm.
you just sit there and life kind of passed you by. I got just stop. I look beyond. What I do is I look beyond the question, and I look beyond either one of those islands. Like, I look just past that, and then I go there and I look back and I go, what am I glad I did? And so I go beyond it. I imagine beyond it, looking back and looking back at today. I go to the end of, let's say, the island beyond that, and I look back to today and I go, what am I glad I did? And the answer in your instinct is, you don't go, well, no, not cerebral. It's like what you feel it. You go, well, what am I glad I did? What do I want my story to be? And then you look at these choices and you go, well, one of them is going to be clear, and the other one's going to be like, well, that's clearly not it. This is the one, and that's not the one. So go beyond and look back. What am I glad I did? And what do I
Mhm.
want my story to be? And because they aren't the same. Those two islands are not the same. If they
Mhm.
are, then it doesn't matter. But
Right.
they're going to be, one's going to be red, one's going to be blue, or whatever, however you want to say it. One's triangular, one's square. Okay, well, go past it, look back at right now, and go, well, what was the right decision? So from looking, go past it, and you go, to get here, which one was the right choice? You don't look at them going forward, you look at them in reverse.
Okay.
There's a scientific name for that. It's called retrospective vision. That's what neuroscientists call it, retrospective vision. You go past it and look back. What am I glad I did? That's how you make a choice at a crossroads. And I have a book called Breathing Space, and that's chapter 2 is getting your bearings, and it's about that.
Okay.
It's where a lot of people get snagged up, and there's that whole paralysis by analysis. And stop analyzing. That's all up here. It's like you look at it, go, oh, and it just gets worse. The more you look at it, the bigger it gets up in your grill, and you go, just it's too big, and then that's all you can see. So don't do it. Go past, go past it, get to the end, and go, man, what am I glad I did? And you will see what the best choice is.
Okay. So, you've got your blueprint, you're looking forward, you're using retrospective vision to help make decisions. How do you go about actually and you've got some sort of path, you've got a direction. You've come up with a number of ways of specifically designing business to align with that or align with your individual or each individual's individualized kind of blueprints or directions. And from CRM to creative contact, share a little bit about how you came up with that in the first place.
So you had a couple questions in there. How'd you come up with CRM, and how'd you come up with Creative Contact?
Well, I think even at a higher level, it's all right. You've got your path. You've got a path. How do you design, or what tools do you where do you go next in terms of actually turning into something that can achieve or provide you with that direction or that life that you've charted out?
All right. So, well, Okay. The only experience I have is mine, right? And
Mhm,
I've worked with thousands of people, and I hear what they say, and I see what they do, and it's almost never in alignment, and
mhm,
it has to be in alignment. So it's almost like workarounds. So let's say that let's say this is a big workaround, and there's going to be smaller pieces of the big piece. So what I mean is, okay, so we've come up with the lifestyle blueprint, the
mhm,
style of life. This is what I'm building. This is my life. This is what I want to see in life sooner than later.
mhm,
And then so for me, it was I need the money and time, and so I need to do things that give me both money and time. So all right, so money, time, enjoyment. So here's how I look at these things. So there's money, time, and enjoyment. So just because it makes the money and it'll give me time, if I hate it every minute of it, it's never going to work because my heart's not in it enough. And you see a lot of people, plenty of business opportunities out there that don't work out because they don't do this. So the only place where I'm going to spend my time is where it overlaps. There's a million things that I can do that that are just in it for the money or just in it for the time or just in it for whatever. It needs to be all three. So all right. So now I go, okay, well, what can I do that's going to give me that? So there are a lot of opportunities in the world. And so I go, okay. And so, by the way, my blueprint kind of looks like this. Draw that too. I've got a house and I've got a garage and I've got, you know, happy people and there's a sailboat involved and there's water involved. So just, bear with me. There's my top page of my blueprint. So I go, okay, if this is what I want, and so I need some sort of work that looks like this. And I go, okay, let's go here.
mhm,
I go, okay, I'm there. It's all done. And it's as I look back, I already know some opportunities, right? I already have some things. I mean, I've been around. I just didn't fall off the moon, right? I just didn't come here.
mhm,
I know that there's some opportunities, and if I don't know, then I'm going to start looking for them. But I know, I've looked at a few things, and I go, okay, what what out of those things, looking back from this point, I go, well, what got me here? This retrospective vision, right? What got me here? And I know I've looked, there's like three things, and one of those lights up, and the others sort of fall off to the side. So I imagine right now you're imagining what you want to build and create and the opportunities you have. Is this true?
yeah,
Yeah. And did you just do it? And you go, okay, there's these three things in my life. There's one that looks more promising, or the
mhm,
one that I can see that this is it. Is that true? Okay. So the other two fall by the wayside. And so now you know the path. At least you know generally what that is.
mhm,
Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to come back to today, right?
mhm,
Because that right now is the time, right here and now is when I got to get hopping on this thing. And then I go, okay, well, what's what is one small thing that I can do that's going to do this? What's all, in that sweet spot? And so you asked me CRM and you asked me how we keep in contact, the creative contact I talk about. So in that, I wanted people to call me and ask me how they can do business with me. I
mhm,
want potential clients calling me already knowing what I do. I want them recommended to me. I want them
mhm,
recommended to me so it's an easy sale because I've sold a lot of stuff and the way that they teach you to sell I did not like. I
mhm,
don't like going cold calling in person. I don't like to do it on the phone. It just seems it's not does not give me the life that I want. It does not that bottom smiley thing.
mhm,
It's the opposite of that. So that's not it. But I go, okay. So if I want people to recommend, then how would I do it? Okay. So I go, okay, if I want people to recommend, because it's a lot of asking yourself questions, how you
mhm,
find answers to things is ask yourself once, it's like, oh, everything that you're looking for has a simple answer.
mhm,
Every question that's in the world today has a simple answer. And once you find the simple answer, you go, wow, that was simple, right?
mhm,
Right?
yeah,
It's true. And so the trick is to ask you've got to be moving around like when, I've got to be changing my vantage point and asking myself different questions, not the same question all the time, because that's always going to give you the same answer. I have to, like, how many times a day can I see things differently? How many times a day can I ask a different sort of question and go, and it's like walking with wonder and thinking about stuff and testing things. So in real life, I go, okay, if I want my phone to ring with people saying, hey, I heard you do this, so and so recommended me to you. Do I know people who could recommend business to me? If so, those are my first contacts. We're at the point where I don't know yet, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm trying to unlock this. And so I might go to people that I know and I go, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. Do you know? And so that's where your warm market is handy,
Hmm.
because they're going to cut some slack and they're going to have some ideas too. Most of them aren't going to work
Yeah.
because they don't understand the what you're just doing.
Hmm.
They're going to go, well, we pay for advertising. Okay, but let me ask you, who do you know that might, that might be a good connection for me. Like, for example, my dad. So I went to my dad and said, hey, dad, because I know my dad does not buy what I sell. He's never going to buy it. He would have never bought it in the past. Not going to buy it now. He's not going to buy it in the future. He's not a potential client, but he knows a lot of people. And he knows a lot of people. So in the specific business I'm referring to, it's credit card processing. So my target are businesses that accept credit cards. Those are the ones I want to go to. I want to go to people that already accept them, and I want them to switch to me.
Hmm.
So I'll go to my dad and go, hey, dad, this is what I'm doing. And he's, oh, 'cause he likes me. I'm his son. He wants me to prosper.
Hmm.
And I go, hey, you've got buddies who own businesses, don't you? Now notice how I'm doing this, right? I'm breaking this up, but this is exactly how I do it. You've got buddies who own businesses, don't you? Yeah, yeah, I've got Jim, Bob. Yeah, he starts rattling off. I go, okay. So those buddies who own businesses, do some of them accept cards at their business? Oh yeah, the lodge, the gas station, the da da da, the pizza place, the 17 liquor stores, all this stuff. And give you a little insight. Uh, and go, well, do you think those guys that have businesses that accept cards, do you think they give me a listen? Oh yeah, they give me a listen, or they give you a listen. And I go, hey, could you just let them know that I'll give them a jingle, or have them give me a jingle? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what happened. And so now the little town that my dad used to live in, you literally, besides the Senate, is a little town. But there are a handful of you go in and there's a bar, restaurant when you come into town. There's a grocery store. We don't have they have a new dollar store. We don't have that. But there's a pizza restaurant. There's a liquor store. There's a place that does make stuff with chainsaws. There's did I say the grocery store? Grocery store, gas station. And then around there's lodges, like, places that are open in the summertime where you can rent cabins, gas station out there. So I would have never had these people. Never, how would they ever even known about me? They wouldn't have, and they wouldn't not have answered advertising. They see a gajillion advertisements every day.
Hmm.
And they don't respond to those. They're not going to respond to the one I put that I paid for either. But we got all of those because I'm my dad's son. So that worked. And so we also created a program we called the Give Back. So anytime a merchant uses us, we go, hey, part of the fee that you already pay can go to a nonprofit. Who would you choose? And then they go, oh, I'd give to whatever, the Starving Wolves of Northern Minnesota, nonprofit. I go, okay. So at the end, then I go, hey, who else do you know that would be interested in supporting the Starving Wolves of Northern Minnesota like you did? And so now I'm not asking for, hey, who else you know like
Hmm.
who needs credit card processing? They don't know. They have no idea, but they do know people. And so it's a different psychology, totally
Hmm.
different psychology. It's not about credit card processing, about saving the starving wolves. And
Hmm.
so they go, oh, you know what, you should, we've got a whole club, around, we meet, and 2 out of 3 of these people own businesses. And you go, oh, well, and they go, well, here, you want me to give you a list? Yeah. Yeah. I go, how many are in that group? And it was like, 43. So now I've got 43 people to call, and they go, hey, I just, now I've got something so now I'm off on that tangent, and I haven't, and it didn't take much time. It's just a lot of people are afraid to go to the warm market,
Mhm.
which you're not going to get much. But my dad was the warm market because most people go, well, I don't know anybody. Well, neither did I. I didn't know anybody, but I knew my dad and he knew people, and those people then you create a different psychology sort of referral program, and now I've already got a bunch, and
Mhm.
then what happens is when you're talking to somebody about the Starving Wolves of Northern Minnesota Club, they go, "Do we have to give to that?" Go, "No, you thinking about somebody else?" "Yeah, I'm part of Rotary." And then now you're off into Rotary, and then the Rotary goes, "Well, you know what? Wanna can I give to Starve My whatever organization?" Now you're onto that, and so that's the way to start. The other way, or another way, is you go, "Well, who has the same clients that I'm looking for?" Somebody that's in a business that also provide some sort of service to a business that accepts credit cards. And so for me, it was banks. I started going to banks. I started going to, and then I just figure out what bank, who to talk to at the bank, what to say, and that sort of thing. And there's thousands of those. And I started off with, I was in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and back when they had yellow pages, back when they deliver yellow pages to your, now it's easy. You can just go online and grab a list. But I tore them out. I or cut or tore whatever, all the banks. And I think I started off with 300 banks in that area, and they started sending business. So you have to experiment. Again, who at the bank to talk to, what to say. You've got to understand what their motivation is. One of the things, I've got a book called Rewire somewhere around here, and it says in there, always understand your target's motivations. So you have to understand their motive for sending business to you. You can't just say, "Here's what I do," and to be random about it. You have to understand what it is that they're looking for. And so then when you contact them going, "Hey, here, this is what I do." So when does this ever come up? And it comes up. you
Mhm.
know, you go, "Well, when that comes up, this is, you can send them over here, da 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 da
Mhm.
da." And sometimes uh, uh, um, ideally, I like to set things up so that they're doing it. They're recommending people to me out of the goodness of their heart. They don't want money out of it. They just know that this person needs the thing that I have. And they go,
Mhm.
"Oh, you should call John." And so my phone rings, and I go, "Hello," and I say hello, and they say, "Oh, how'd you hear about me?"
Mhm.
Frank over at, ABC Bank. "Oh, Frank, yeah, blah, 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 blah." Well, and then there's like, what do you say to people when they
Mhm.
call you? What's the right flow of things? And there's a whole, back to understanding your target's motivations, I have to understand what it is that they want. So
Mhm.
we get into a whole sales piece where I absolutely do not do what the world teaches you to do in sales. I do a different, more intentional. Um, it's not about me. It's like we don't have a brochure about us. We have a
Mhm.
brochure about you.
Mhm.
And it's just okay. What are you looking? It helps us to understand what it is that you are looking for, and how I might be able to do that. And when I do that too, rather than this gets into your question about creative contact, but it's more of creative conversation. It's not about me. Eventually it's what I can do for you. But first I have to understand what it is you're looking for. How can I help? What are you looking for? Where do you want to go? And so within that, then I know how to lead you to something that I have, that would be good for you. I don't want to
Mhm.
tell you just something that I have. I want it to be good for you. And then I'm going to go, "Hey, we've got this program where part of the fees you already pay." And then they go, "Oh yeah, I'm in Lions Club." Okay, now
Mhm.
I'm off in that direction. It's just as opposed to cold calling, paying for advertising. Either one of those I hate.
Mhm.
I think cold calling, I just don't have. I'm just not cut up for that. It doesn't. You know what? It doesn't. It's not going to. It doesn't meet either one of these.
Mhm.
But what I just described absolutely does. And if I do it with something, time, this. So now it's like, okay. So now I'm setting this. I'm building this so that my phone rings. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
where in the world I am, my phone's going to ring. So, and the time when I'm building this and making these connections, yeah, I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm calling all these people like crazy, but I'm
Mhm.
setting up this network so that everybody knows that when they hear about something, that they're at a cocktail party, they're at a bar mitzvah, I don't know what they're
Mhm.
doing, or that a business lunch and something comes up about something I do, they go, you know what, you should really give John a call. Now it's like, how many thousand bird dogs do I need to be able to have my phone ring and do all the business that I can handle? So once I have that built, that has long legs. It lasts for a long, long time, and I'm not paying for any advertising, and I'm not cold calling. It
Mhm.
takes a little bit to build, but it gives me the time, and I become free from having to cold call, from having to buy advertising, and we can get into. We don't have to go very far into cold calling because nobody likes it. Paying for advertising, there's a there's some people out there that go, well, consultants. Well, here's how you pay for advertising. I go, I would rather get kicked in the stomach, than pay for advertising, because then you become an advertiser.
Mhm.
And now I've got to figure out how to cleverly word my ad that's more clever than the next guy. And next week I've got to do it differently. And I don't want to do that. That's horrible. And then, that's why I think one of the reasons there's so much lack of trust. There's so little
Mhm.
trust today is because I'm just trying to out weasel you, in this advertising. I just want you to click. I want to hook you somehow. And it's
Mhm.
just, I get it, feel like sick in the pit of my stomach when I think about it. So when I do send out an email to everybody in my network once a month, but it's going to be a story. Hey, here's something I thought of you. Just something interesting. So something I saw along the way that's applicable. Something that it was sort of clever that's applicable, but it's
Mhm.
not nowhere in there as am I selling the best way I found to sell a lot of stuff is to not be salesy. And because do you want to be sold?
No.
No, I don't want to be sold either. I hate that. And it's obvious. Oh, it's like, oh, God, here we go. I don't want that. So I don't want to be that, right?
Mhm.
That's that, part of life thing. Am I really here to do that? No,
Mhm.
I'm not. I'm here to do this other stuff and help people buy the right stuff. When they call me, they already trust me. It's my trust to lose. I get most of the business. You know what? Let me define that. My experience has been 3 out of 4 when I'm good at this. So I'm very good at this. So even being very good, there's still 25% that it's like they're going to call and go, yeah, that's just not, maybe later. And I don't track them down. I figure if I don't get them, I'm very good at this, and I set this up to get wrapped up on the first call. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm going to be very good at my craft, and we're going to get it wrapped up. Almost never do I chase people down. Maybe 10% of the time after one of those calls. 90% of the time, again, I want to set this up in a way I don't have to touch this file. How we say it. I want to do it once. I want to do a very excellent. I want to do a phenomenal job with them, and I want to know that either we're going forward or not. 75% of the time we say yes, and then during the process, there's still going to be some that fall out. But half the time my phone rings, that business ends up on the books and making money.
Mhm.
So for me, I could do about 20, 21, I think is my average, 21 or 23. I don't remember what it was for years and years and years. Um, and that's unheard of. That's 3 times more than what the people running around doing business networking groups and all the stuff that do. Because I set it up differently. It's a whole different formula. But that's how much I could take coming in.
Mhm.
And I had a whole folder, like literally a manila folder that doesn't close right. It's
Mhm.
like this. And so when the next guy started, I handed that to him. He's like, "What?" And that was just, he was like, "Wow." And the phone would ring, and he goes, "Holy cow, this," but it didn't happen overnight. I built it. And then he showed up, saw it worked, and I then showed him how to build one too.
So as you're going through that process, do you have any sort of approach for checking in periodically to make sure that you're head down driving forward with this machine that you're building, making sure that you're actually in alignment with your blueprint that you put together that kicked this whole process off?
Are you saying the people that into my network, do I stay in contact besides a monthly email?
No, more taking it back to the philosophy of building a life that's aligned with this vision that you had.
Oh,
And
do
as
I
your
check
head's
in with myself?
yeah, like how do you go about like do you, like some people are like check in, once a month. Some people are like I do a quarterly review, like that type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I absolutely do. I uh, I have a couple, what I call a daily arc. So every day. So So I have a daily arc and a project arc.
Mhm.
So a project is what we're talking about here. I'm building this thing. And so yeah, every weekend, every Sunday, it comes up and I look at, how am I doing? How am I doing? And I look at it and go, okay, is this what I want to be building? And are there any adjustments I want to make? So yeah, every week I look at that.
Mhm.
Every Sunday it comes up. And then um also it does too. Every quarter it comes up in my calendar that says it's sort of a you know, w- how do I'd have to look at it on my calendar, but it'll say something to the effect of what do you want to learn? What do you want to experience, see, taste, smell? What sensory? Where in
Mhm.
the world? What comes up? And so it prompts me in a little different. And so I go, yeah. Is there something that like some people have bucket? I don't have a bucket list. I don't, because a list means things you want to do before you kick the bucket.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's what it means.
Mhm.
And I'm already working on this stuff. This is what I'm building. These
Mhm.
are all the things. And so they go, oh yeah, that's I'm going to put that on my bucket list. And I think, and most of them are arbitrary. Like, oh, have you ever been to Rome? Yeah. What's on my bucket list? I go, well, why? Because when I ask myself, mine's a little bit different because I ask myself different questions because mine are when I'm handing in my life resume, when I'm kind of meet my maker's eye, handing in my resume, knowing that I reached for what was next, given what I was given. Did I? So if along the way a trip to Rome comes up, so that's all it comes up because it's a part of that process. Yeah. And so, or in this, so when I have this, part of that is traveling with my kids. If
Mhm.
my kids want to go, if they go, man, I'd love to go to Rome. I go, well, let's go, man. That would be cool. That's why I'd go to Rome. I wouldn't, I'm not much of a tourist, but to drop into a place with somebody that you love who wants to be there,
Mhm.
heck yeah, man. That's really good. That is why I'd go to Rome. And so that probably makes sense why I don't have my bucket list would be, I don't have one. But if I did, it would be more things like the things that I want to make sure on my life resume, that if I was handing my life resume into my maker, and can I meet my maker's eye knowing that this was my bucket list? So things like that average arbitrary things like, oh man, I want to do all these things before it's just, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's less of a yeah. Yeah.
Your question was checking in. So yeah, I check in a lot. So I have a project arc and a daily arc. So daily, I get on track every day. I have a little sequence of things I do in the morning, and then I grab my field notes, a little notebook I have, and I go, all right, let me get on track. And
Mhm.
and so and then throughout the day, I have little reminders that pop up. And am I on track? Oh, because it's so easy. Oh, I started clicking on a friend of mine sent me a little
Yeah.
TikTok video of a chubby kid getting hit in the face with a tuna. It's like, and then pretty soon, half an hour is gone, and I'm clicking on all kinds of weird stuff. And this pops up, and I go, oh, snap out of it. Like a lot of,
Mhm.
it's like so many distractions today. How fast can you snap out of that stuff and get back on track? So it's
Mhm.
daily arc. I want to make sure that I'm staying on track throughout my day, and that I'm tracking stuff. Am I on track? Am I on track? And if I'm building something, if it's a project, like we talked about, connection, building your network. Yeah, absolutely. I'm tracking every time I have what I call a meaningful conversation, like, oh, that went well. And
Mhm.
and let them know, drop some information out to them, in a meaningful conversation that ends up with, yeah, that makes sense. So
Mhm.
how many of those? And I literally, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I'm on it, and I have timers that are running because it's like, I don't, how do you want, how fast do you want to build this?
Mhm.
You know, uh, uh, so, how many of these things right in the sweet spot can you do?
Mhm.
How many nails are you pounding today? One? 30? What do you? And so, but, in this, you actually do get where you want to go, as opposed to most things in life that are really like vision boardish, arbitrary, and you don't know the little things to do along the way. So
Hmm.
it's the little things along the way are how you build this stuff, how you unlock this stuff. It's not big reaches. You can end up going a long way and creating something fantastic. And it starts by doing the things that are within reach. And when
Hmm.
you do one, it feels good. It's like, oh man, I did that. Okay, I made that call. Good,
Hmm.
good. Where if it were such a big reach, you wouldn't know to make that one little call because your goal is this huge thing. And but those huge things are made of really small pieces, and every one of
Hmm.
those small pieces you tick, you know, tick, tick. In I mentioned that book Rewire a little while ago. You can
Hmm.
see a little picture. I used to have like a post-it note. I live on, I've got post-it notes on everything. They're all over the place here. But I had every day put one on my desk, and I start calling at 8:30 and 8:30 uh, to 9:30. How many tick marks do I have? And then
Hmm.
I take a little break, I get some oxygen, get some food, move around a little bit.
Hmm.
And then it's like, let's go back in. I do that for 5 hours. I just jam.
Hmm.
Well, the word I use is jam, a jam time. I call it jam time. The flack I've gotten from that from people who don't jam and who get nowhere. Wow. I use the word cool and jam. They don't like that. Fine. Use your own words. Don't make fun of mine, man.
No, that makes a lot of sense. It's sort of the notion of compounding small, closer to a mindset of compounding small, iterative, step by step aspects over time that compounds, as opposed to kind of that almost a lottery ticket sort of philosophy of shooting for these massive, or you've got this massive idea or vision,
Yeah.
and you're kind of shooting from the hip to maybe see if it happens.
Yeah. And it's all very hopeful.
Hmm.
And typically disappointing. And then you go,
Yep.
I'm just not cut out to have that. Yeah, you were. You were, man.
Yeah.
You were. You really were. And you could have had it. But people don't know how to go about it. They
Hmm.
just don't know. There's some magical formula. Somebody tells you it's like this. It's very individualized. How I see things isn't going to be how everybody sees things, how they
Hmm.
experience it. And we all have unique DNA. So we have a unique chemistry. We have different experiences in life, and we've got different. So even though like the things I talk about and how I say them, yeah, you need to pick this up, individualize it, make it better. Make
Hmm.
it better. I'm no master at this. I am an excited student in this, and I've probably gone, my journey. Started trying to unlock the stuff in a different sort of way a longer ago, and maybe just at a little different point on this freedom journey. But a lot of people have made a lot more money than I have doing stuff. I don't think though uh, that they have a more free life. It's a combination of this, right? It's a
Hmm.
combination of money, time, and doing the things that you enjoy, and unlocking this thing, and becoming more of who you've been created to be, I think.